On today's episode, we're going to sit down with DJ NYCE.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, we just finished the episode, so man, before we do the intro, man, that was a great episode. Appreciate you again.
Man, I appreciate it.
It was awesome, man. That was like warm butter on top of pancakes. Like it just flowed.
Too kind.
But yeah, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'm DJ NYCE, and I'm a DJ in the North Shore area. I like to say that I'm a diverse individual. I love the Lord. I love music. I always say I know Jesus and I know Jay-Z. I gotta have that balance. And
without further ado, let's get into
this episode.
This is a show about things we struggle with, the ones we don't always talk about. Each episode is a real conversation meant to remind us that speaking honestly about what we're carrying doesn't make us weak. It's about finding clarity, encouragement, and the reminder that we're not alone in the struggle. This is Wonderfully Difficult.
How do you feel like people are taking on the mental health and the physical health? Do you think that they go hand in hand, or how do you feel about that?
They definitely go hand in hand. And speaking from my perspective, for years I ignored my mental health, my physical health, and it just led to a life that I wasn't happy with. And then I have some time. I served in the Army, so I deal with PTSD, and that multiplied everything that I had been going through. And I had to seek help with that through talking to people, going to the doctor, for months at a time. And it made me feel a little bit better just talking about it. But as men, we don't like to talk about it. We just want to ignore it. We're going to live till we die, and that's just it. So we got to get to the point to where we are concerned about our health because we want to be here for our family. It does our family no good if we're dying at 40 or 50. You want to be here to see your grandkids, or great-grandkids.
Right. And then how many times, as a blue collar worker, you're, average everyday man, I've been guilty of it, like your knee starts hurting or your shoulder hurts, and you just kind of look at it like, well, I guess this is a part of life now.
Yeah, I just slept wrong in the bed.
My knee's going to hurt a little bit, I guess.
Back gonna hurt. My daddy back hurt. My granddaddy back hurt.
That must mean I'm a man.
Right. But the one thing we forget, granddad and dad didn't go to the doctor. So they didn't know that you can get things fixed. The human body is incredible. It'll repair itself if you stop damaging it every day and just take the time, go get your readings, know your numbers, and do something about it.
Right. And then I guess, the granddad aspect of it, it was easier health-wise because nowadays, man, you can't get nothing healthy. Everything is high fructose corn syrup. Everything is bad for you. Red dye, this, and everything else. Back, a couple generations ago, it was real.
Yeah, they had natural food.
It was just a tomato, or it was a cow. It wasn't all this other ingredients that the back of the paper is like this long. It's like, man, this is an apple. What you mean?
Right. I always say we can't afford to be healthy. It costs so much to eat right. Like the stuff that we need costs us the most. And,
right.
It just doesn't make sense.
They don't have a $1 menu salad.
Right. Yeah, but the basic thing that I did to get my physical body in shape was I started walking. It started off 30 minutes 4 times a week, and now I'm up to 4 miles whenever I do. I try to do it 4 or 5 times a week, but just walking in the sunlight, it does the body good.
Right.
And I watch documentaries about the body will repair itself. You just have to stop damaging. Your liver will repair itself if you don't drink every day. Like drink some water sometimes. It'll help.
Right. And then, but I guess, it's an awakening almost that happens within you. Yeah. I don't know what it was that you faced. I'm sure you faced something where your brain was like, you know what? I've had enough. Yeah. I'm doing it. Yeah. And it don't matter what it is. You went even far as watching documentaries and doing research. You said, I'm not only going to do it on the physical part, I'm going to know what I'm doing.
Right. For me, that aha moment was in 2019 in September. I had my son. And then, of course, COVID hit. So everybody was shut down, and we wasn't doing anything. So we were just at home eating, feet up on the couch, and I got up to 300 pounds. And in 2022, my son was turning 2, and then, you know, that's the age where they want to play.
Right.
Daddy, let's go outside and play. Let's do this. And I couldn't because couldn't keep up. I couldn't breathe. Didn't want to get out the bed. And, you know, that was the aha moment. I said, I have to do something about it.
And it takes something like that for you to be, you know, what do you say, 2019?
Yeah, that's when he was born. Yeah.
So now here we are now, and you're still consistent with it.
Yeah.
Because if it's not something that you want to do, then you'll do it, but you ain't going to do it.
Right.
And you basically took it not as this is my goal. You took it more of, this is how we going to live.
Right.
And then it makes it easier because
lifestyle.
This is what we do. I'm not doing anything extra. We walk. That's how we get it in.
Yeah. I always say that you have to do stuff today that your future self is going to thank you for. Like, if you don't exercise today, 20 years down the line, your future self is going to be mad at you. You're going to be mad at you. Your family's going to be mad at you.
Right.
So you have to do something today to make your future better.
Right. And then I heard something that was, you know, kind of along the same lines that, you know, the reality that we're living in right now ain't got nothing to do with our mindset right now.
Right.
Everything we're doing today is a decision we made 5 years ago, whether it's a mental health issue or a physical weight loss issue. Yeah. You're here now because of the decisions that old you made.
Yeah.
And now present you is thanking old you.
You have to change your algorithm because back, like, you know, back prior to 2018, 2019, I would watch a lot of tabloid stuff like Love and Hip Hop and, you know, stuff that just, you know, doesn't help your mental health. It only worsens you.
Right.
And so I changed my algorithm, started watching more self-help stuff, doing different stuff, following people that exercise, people that juice, people that do salads, and, you know, you change your algorithm, you change your life.
For sure. I think I've been doing this podcast thing for just a little over a year, and man, I'm not going to say that I got it figured out because I don't. I'm still making it up most of the time.
I'm going to back up and ask you a question. Okay. What got you into doing it? Like,
well, I was in a dark place, and I didn't know what to do, and I was struggling with my own. What is my purpose? And, you know, a lot of burnout because my life is very busy, and you got work and you got kids, and I'm trying to coach, but I'm also trying to work overtime. Right. And you can't do both. Nah. And then you got to, you know, it was a lot. And I felt like no matter what decision I made, I was going to fail in one aspect or the other. Right. Because you can't do both. You have to choose. And I felt like no matter which one I choose, I'm not making the right decision. But so I got on the podcast and just wanted to talk about my stuff that I had going on. Right. But man, it has opened my world in this past year to like people like you and people like the rest of the guests that's been on here. And I'm shifting not only who I talk to, I shift what I'm talking about. Right. You know, now I'm constantly trying to find ideas to do this. Right. But in doing that, I can't spend my time watching MMA knockouts, you know, right? Because I mean, that's cool and all, but I'm not building. I'm trying to build. And, you know, I saw a thing the other day that said, if you want to run, don't wait for somebody to come run with you. Just run. Right. Because in a week from now or a month from now, the people that want to run are going to come run with you.
They're going to be motivated by your consistency. Like,
right. Yeah. And then that kind of goes into this. Like, you know, I wanted to do it and here we are. And it's got its ups and downs because I am very busy and it's hard to get people to come and because life is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Right. So, but I mean, that's kind of why I started it because I was dealing with my own stuff and my own struggles and it helped me to talk about it. And I feel like I'm not going to say I conquered it, but I feel like this environment, guys being vulnerable, right, and doesn't make us weak. Right. It makes us smart.
Yeah, courageous.
You know what I mean? Yeah, courage and all these different things. And so yeah, man, if I haven't helped anybody else, I've helped me.
Right.
So
sounds like it's your release. And I want to thank you for, doing this, because I was raised as the only child. I say raised because I do have a brother, but he lived in another town. So it was just me and my mom in my home. And I don't, really talk much. If I have something to say, I'll say it, of course. But I would never just sit down and talk about the stuff that we're probably going to talk about without someone asking me about it, because I'm just a private person, and I kind of keep to myself. That's that only child syndrome. So I want to thank you for starting this platform and eventually, having me on here.
Yeah, man. I like I talked to you before we started, man, we could talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if something comes up and that's a no, then I'm not going to push you. You know what I'm saying? It's a no. So it's open and free.
Right.
And like I tell all the guests that come on here, man, it takes a lot of courage to sit in that chair.
Right.
Because I can, this is a different aspect, because a lot of the guests I've known for years, and I've known you for years, but this is the most we've ever really talked. So this, it's nervous for me.
Yeah, but you come from good people. I met your dad, Mr. Joe, during DJing, and then I met you too. I had to go back and remember where I met you from. I think the night that of my grandmother's funeral, I had to DJ, and they wanted me to stay an extra hour, and they called you in to come finish the extra hour, because I wanted to go back and be with my family.
Right.
And I thank you for that.
Yeah,
and
no
of course,
problem,
Mr. Joe, he introduced me to your brother Brock, and I did some stuff with him in his fraternity at LSU. So you come from good people. I used to always hear people talk about Mr. Joe, and then, from the Springfield area. Right. And then I met Mr. Joe DJing with him, and so.
Yeah, if you're from Springfield, you definitely know.
Right.
If you don't know him, you heard about him, because he's been around for generations. But to jump back a little bit, I didn't know you were in the Army. So thank you for your service.
Yeah.
How long did that go on?
Well, I was in the Army for 6 years, and Army National Guard. But then we got deployed in 2003. So I served in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, Kandahar.
Wow. Yeah. Not to dig too deep, but you said you were struggling with PTSD after the fact. Was that something that you had the effects, and day one you went and got help, or is that something that you tried to struggle? Like how did that come about?
No, I had it, and then I used to while we was over there, I used to man, I can't wait to get back home, because I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it was involving stuff that I normally wouldn't do. For as I used to drink, but just testing different drugs and stuff like that, and I was like, where is this coming from? And I didn't know, but then I got home, and of course I experimented with stuff that I shouldn't have been experimenting with, and that went on for 5 or 6 years. And then so I got married, and then I was like, I can't live my life like this and be married. So I started seeking help, and then went and talked to someone at the VA, went through the psych evaluation. It was like, you're struggling with PTSD. And that's where your, I ain't gonna say desire to use drugs, but you're trying to deal with it the way that you think you should deal with it, which is not the way to deal with it.
Trying to numb it. Basically.
Yeah, trying to numb it, basically. And that's how that happened. And so got diagnosed in 2015, and I got out of the Army in 2005. So it was a 10-year span where I'm just out there in the world, just doing what I think I should be doing, just to feel right.
Right.
And so talked to a shrink for 2 or 3 years, and, medication and stuff like that, and exercise. That's what got me to the point where I'm in today, to where still have, flashbacks and stuff like that, stuff that I'm not going to talk about.
Right.
But
we ain't trying to pry.
Right. Yeah, but that I just didn't know, And if anybody's out there that's a vet and you're dealing with flashbacks, you're dealing with stuff, go to the VA. The resources are there. Just go to it. Don't think that you can do it on your own, because you can't.
Wow. You can do it on your own for so long until you can't.
Yeah, right. Until you do something that's not productive.
Yeah, and that's one of the main messages that we try to preach on this podcast is letting people know they're not alone. Whether that's a friendly conversation or VA help, or there's different hotlines that you can call if you're going through different things like suicidal hotlines, and I don't even know BetterHelp. That's all over the algorithms all the time. Maybe it's just mine because of what we talk about.
Right.
But there's avenues and things to do where you don't have to feel like you have to do it alone. But that's easier said than done because men are very stubborn and we feel like we can do it on our own. And we feel like, how are you going to help me because you don't know my problems? And it's like, man, the problems are pretty similar.
Right.
If you really break it down.
And especially if you get professional help. That's like, to kind of, I relate everything to music. But like, a bride will say, this is what I want to play, this is what I want to play. Not knowing that, I do this every weekend. So, yeah, your songs might be your favorite songs,
right.
But everybody ain't going to dance to your favorite song. So do you want your guests to have a good time or do you want you and your bridesmaids to have a good time?
Right.
So,
Yeah, that was a big struggle. Like I said, I don't do it anymore, but man, I could tell by the paperwork if it was going to be good.
Right, yep.
At the bottom, when you put your request, if they were just like, we just want a party, big letters, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Right.
And you got the one where it's like, it's scratched out and it's highlighted and they got stuff going down the side. I'm like, oh no. It's like, man, you pay good money to let us DJ or to let you DJ, man. Like you said, I'm doing this all the time. Like,
right.
You're supposed to take a burden off.
Right.
I got this.
Right.
I'm going to keep it going. And, DJing, man, that's one of the hardest things to do because you're in a crowd of people from 8 years old to 80 years old.
Yep. And everybody want to hear their favorite song.
Right. So it ebbs and flows, but, you got to make some people happy here. Then later on, you make the other ones happy here, and you kind of let it go around. But so how long have you DJ'd now?
December this year will be 14 years.
Dang.
Yep.
That's a long time.
Yep.
Did you always do weddings or did you start off in the clubs? Or?
Yeah, I did some clubs. I'm not opposed to doing clubs, but of course I'm more of a family man nowadays, so I don't like really being out late and
right.
The kind of crowd and clientele that may come with a club, coming in smelling like smoke and
right.
all of this. But I'm not opposed to it, but my bread and butter is weddings because I have such a vast knowledge of music.
Right.
I don't want to just have to play the new stuff. But then I don't want to just have to play the old stuff. I don't want to just have to play rap music.
Right.
I like country music too. Like rap is my favorite, but country is my second favorite. So I just mix everything in like gumbo when I'm DJing. If it feels right in the moment, that's what I'm going to play.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have that feel as a DJ. Yeah. You got to be able to feel the room. The last thing you want to do is have it up, and then you slide something and then it just crickets and it's like, oh no, you got to hurry up on the fly and change it back, But I guess a lot of people don't understand the art of it. It's more than just press play.
And when I say if it feels good, not necessarily if it feels good for me, if it feels good to what I think the crowd wants.
Like the room.
Yeah, like the room, because it's all about your audience whenever I'm DJing, because, I know so much music. The music that I really listen to, it's not dance music because I'm laid back. I'm a laid back person, but I know how to make people have a good time.
Right. And I mean, when all else fails, just put on you taking over for the 9-9.
Yeah. Or Flex by Cupid.
Because that just bangs no matter what the old, young, whatever. They like that song is going to hit.
Yeah.
And if it don't, then I just pack it up.
Right. It ain't my night. It ain't my night.
But I know we kind of talked off camera to bring it, we spoke about your finding your way to the Lord or to God and religion and all that kind of stuff. You kind of mentioned to me about you kind of struggled for a minute there. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, because whenever I was growing up, the church was it was a place where old people went. Like I didn't see myself represented in the church congregation, meaning like a young, vibrant person that, like coming up in the 80s, late 80s, the early 90s, rap music, if you listen to rap music, it was like you was eating with the devil, right, stuff like that. But as I got older, and my mom had me in church every Sunday, so if I wasn't represented, it didn't care. I was going to be there. So and I'm glad she did that because it laid the foundation. And so whenever I got older and began to understand God and the Bible for myself and learn to separate God and religion, because the religion stuff will have you discouraged. Like, you can't wear this to church. You shouldn't do this at church. Get up in front, you make a mistake, get up in front of the church, tell the people, like, that don't have nothing to do with God. Like, you know.
Right.
So whenever I learned to separate God from religion and learn the Bible on my own, that's when I really started to grow.
Yeah, and we had a guest on here a couple episodes ago, and we kind of touched on that, and he was new to the past 7 years. He was trying to find his way, but that was one of his main concerns, or one of his main holdups, was because the church didn't feel welcoming in a way, you know, and he said the same thing. You know, he went and found it on his own. He picked up the Bible and read it for himself. You know, you don't have to go to kneel at the altar to learn what's going on, you know, and I guess there's good with the bad, you know, and everything in life, and you know, religion is no exception. So you have your people, your snakes that are taking advantage of things and judging people, and you know, I'm still trying to like kind of find my way into that area. Like I think I'm leaning more towards like what you said, like I'm gonna do it not on my own, but I'm gonna figure out on my own, I guess, not like going to an institution, I guess, you know. But it just seems like even when that guest that I'm talking about, we did a full episode and we got done with the episode and he went back and watched it and he pulled me off to the side later on and was like, man, I really, really wanted to talk about my relationship with God and my religion. And he was like, but the way the world is today, and, you know, your podcast doesn't seem like a religious podcast. And I was like, man, my podcast is life. Right. And if that's what your life is, then let's run it back and let's talk about you. I don't want you to feel like we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, you know? And, but that being said, you know, I told him, I said, man, it seems like these are, maybe it's my generation around in here. It seems like people are scared to, I don't know if they're scared to broadcast it, or they're scared to say something wrong, or they're scared to misquote something. And it's like, man, who are you doing it for?
Right. And it's changing though, because at our church, we're seeing a surge in like the youth, like let's say like from 16 to young adult, like maybe 23, 24, like college age. And we're seeing a surge, like this new generation, they're like, you got last year, I don't know how many months it was, but Forrest Frank, you ever heard of him? Yeah. He outstreamed Drake on Spotify. So that's big, like, you know, so the new generation is getting into it. So I think, you know, we need it. We need something to believe in nowadays.
I saw some videos, I think it was last year, of like a prom, and the people were videoing the prom, and they were playing something, I don't know if it was Frank Foster, whoever it was, they were playing a Christian song, and like the whole school was just, like it was Drake, you know, they were just going off, and then it was like, you know, the caption of the quote, you know, this is what we need. But it just seems like if you go into it and everything is real, you know, and what's happening in today's world is exactly what we don't want to happen. Because whenever I was growing up, like you said, you know, everybody was at church. Church is what you did. There was no option. Sunday morning, you woke up and you went to church. And then all of a sudden, somewhere along the lines, it came taboo almost. Like you can't talk about church. You can't talk about religion. You can't talk about God. You can't talk about Jesus. You can't talk about the Bible. You know, and it just evolves. And it's just like you said, you know, now you got this wave of people who don't know what to do. You know, it's like, if I say that I'm gonna do it, you know, it's taboo. I can't do that, you know? And like I said, that's the enemy is winning in that case, because you're causing a rift for no reason. And, you know, my questions with religion and all this other stuff, you know, it's still, I've never met a person who was religious that was a bad person, because the book is a book of morals, and take away all all of the other stuff and just go to like, what does it say? How are you supposed to live your life?
I'm a jump in right there.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like I'm at battle with that word religion. I ain't gonna say I never met a person that was religious that wasn't a bad person, but I ain't never met a person that was locked in with God that was a bad person. Because religion is the preachers that take the money and use it for this. So like the Drewski skit, whenever he did the church skit a few months back, that is like more so religion. But if you're tapped in with God and the Holy Spirit, you can't even take advantage of people. Like, that's just the dividing line for me. Like, if you're able to still do dirt or do people wrong and you don't feel anything, you're probably more on the religion. You're just doing it for show. Right. Versus if you're locked in with God and the Holy Spirit, ain't no way. Like, you're going to make mistakes still, but you're going to feel bad about it. It ain't going to snowball and you turn into somebody that's really, really bad. They
got a private jet and everything.
right.
Disney World is my church.
Yeah.
That's got to be the worst of the worst, right? Mm-hmm. You're defaming the Bible and making a profit off of lying to people.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's terrible.
Misleading. Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like that message needs to be talked about more because up until recently, it was church or nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there was no real talk of like, you don't need the church. You do in a way, but like, if you have a problem with people, because that's kind of where I'm at with it, because I feel like the more people are involved, the more snakes are involved, the more twisting to make me profit from it. But if you can remove that and just go straight to the source, and I feel like that is more welcoming in my mind anyway.
But you need to be around believers, like true believers, because iron sharpens iron, and you get to see where a person that was struggling with something like say for instance, I'm a DJ, and I used to struggle with that in the beginning, but whenever I made the decision to DJ, it was God that showed me that I was going to be DJing, in the church. And now I DJ church functions. I DJ for my church whenever we have stuff. Like, and that's the type of DJ. It's gospel music. Right. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing the Lord. He gave me a gift, and I'm using it for Him, which it makes my secular. It makes me. I can feed my family off of it because that's what I'm doing. I'm giving my talent to the Lord, and I'm doing what the Lord wants. And now this area of my life is flourishing too. So like, you gotta use your talents for God, and you'll see everything else around you multiply.
Right. And I guess, like I said, I'm still trying to find my way in the whole thing of it, but you can call it divine or whatever you want to say, but the more I do this, the more I run into this.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So when you go out in the world, you got to be the salt. Like, I'm not the type of person that's going to beat you over the head with religion or what's in the Bible. I'm just going to live right. I'm going to speak to you. It don't matter if you're the principal or the janitor. You mean the same to me. I'll speak to you and treat you the same.
Right.
And if you're nice to people, you treat them kind and you treat them fair, they're gonna learn something from you. If it's just that this guy that I never met, seen somebody sitting on the outside of the store on the concrete, he said, "Hey, how you doing?" That's just it. I'm gonna speak to everyone. I'm gonna treat everyone kind and nice, and that's what I'm gonna do to everyone. Everyone deserves that at the very least.
And that's I guess that's why it draws in people with your belief, because that's basically what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to, what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just want to break the norm. You don't run into kindness anymore. You run into people who don't have time for nothing, and they just hurry. Man, hold the door.
Right, that's it. You see the little old lady struggling, help her with her bag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we got to change the world, but by doing these little things, man, we will.
That's what I challenge my kids to do. Make the world a better place. Like, if you do the little things, be kind, speak, you're gonna make the world a better place. And even speak to people that, you know, may not believe the way you believe or look the way you look, it goes a long way, trust me.
sure.
Like somebody might be having a bad day and you walk up and say, good morning. They probably hadn't heard that word in 20 years or something. You never know. You never know.
Right. You never know what the next person's going through. So, you know, like I said, with your kids, I tell my kids on a daily basis, treat others how you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
That's it.
Like, you know, I coach, and I told them the other day, we were doing a drill, and, you know, one of the kids called it, and I'm like, hey, whenever he comes back in line, what would you want if you just made a really good catch? Oh, what's the good job?
Yeah,
Everybody's
right.
high-fiving, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing. If you make a bad play, when you turn around and look at your team, what do you want them to say to you?
Man, it's gonna be
hey, we got you, bro. Let's go next time. You know? So do that. And that's it. That's all you got to do.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a little more to it, but I mean, you know, you boil it down, like you just treat other people how you want to be treated, man. And kindness is free.
Yeah.
And this whole mindset thing that we got going on, trying to shift the focus, trying to shift. If you always think that the world is against you, well, the world's always going to be against you.
Yeah.
If you think that, man, maybe things are turning around.
Right. It's going to
turn around, you know. And we talked about the punch bug game. You know, you see a punch bug and you hit him in the shoulder. You know, I hadn't seen one of those in 10 years. But we talked about it, and the very next day I seen 5 of them.
Right.
You know, because I wasn't looking for them before. It's the same thing with life, you know. A lot of people get trapped in this negativity, and yes, you can always find what's wrong because there's always going to be something wrong.
Right.
But at the same time, you can always find something right.
Yep. The glass is half full or half empty. It depends on how you look at it. And I choose to look at it half full.
And why not? It costs the same energy.
Yep.
You know, and a lot of times, man, whenever you're faced with these problems, you know, to dip back into as a man, you're faced with a financial problem or a relationship problem or a work problem. At the end of the day, you still got to deal with it.
Yep.
So you're going to deal with it and be angry, or you're going to deal with it and be optimistic.
To quote the great philosopher Gloria Hallelujah Woods, Glorilla, she said, "At the end of the day gonna end."
Yeah.
That's it. So
For sure. I mean, you might as well make the most out of it, man. And you know, we don't. Grief is something we don't really get into often. But everybody's got an invisible clock. Mm-hmm. I got one, you got one. It's ticking down.
Right.
And
thank God we can't see it, because I don't know if I would want to know.
Right, but it's all gonna happen, and we don't know when. And you might as well make the most of it. And I want to be happy. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be negative. I don't want any of that. I don't want anybody to see me walk in the room and go, oh,
right, here he comes.
Oh,
Debbie Downer.
Here he goes. I definitely don't want to be that.
Right.
I want to walk in the room and be like, oh, what's up? Mm-hmm. My man's here, you know?
Right.
And you know, something as simple as that, man, your energy that you put off, you know, and that alone can change somebody's day just from just be you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing. Just show up and do what you always do, you know? But, I mean, I guess, you know, every time we sit at this table, man, we just got all the answers. You know? it's just so easy, you know? But, you know, I can, in real life, being that uplifting, being that motivator, being that positive, glass half full, empty, and it gets tiring sometimes.
Yeah, it do. But it has to be in you. Like, you can't fake. That's one thing you can't fake. Either
No doubt.
You're nice and you're kind, or you're not. Like,
Right.
It's got to be something that's in you.
But I feel like for me, this right here is a refueling station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We come up here, you let it all out, and then you hear your perspective, my perspective, their perspective, you know, whatever, and it realizes that, man, we on to something.
Right.
You know? Because our brains are locked in, and this is the first time we've really talked, and
right.
we're both kind of on the same frequency, and it seems like we're definitely headed in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see what my 5-year self is going to look back. Like we were talking about the weight loss for you, you know, like where are we going to be in 5 years from now with laying these seeds, should you say?
Yeah. You got to plant the seeds today.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's, you know, it's a scary thing whenever you go down that path because you can dedicate your life to something for 10 years and work and be the best person you can be and hold all the doors and do all the right things. And it only takes 2 to 5 minutes of acting on emotions with anger or lust or any of these bad things. And then everything that you worked for is gone.
Yep, that's a fact. I was go as far as to say, even when you do that, you become like a target. Like, because the more you do right, I think the more bad energy is gonna come to you to try to make you do wrong.
Right.
So it's like it's that's why I say it has to be in you. Like,
and I've on my journey that I'm currently on, I feel like it's helped me when I wake up and I take on the day. I tell myself, everything that you're about to do is a test. And when I get in the van and I drive to work and somebody cuts me off, I'm already on it. That's a test. How do I feel about that person cutting me off? Well, maybe they were in more of a hurry than I am, so I hope they get to where they're going safe. I hope everything's okay. Instead of this
People always think once you find God or find religion or, everything's gonna be hunky dory, but that's when the game starts. Once you profess your belief in God and that you're gonna try to do things the right way, that's when the game starts.
But I feel like just me personally, I feel like when I approach the day to take the emotion out of it and say that the life is testing me. So are you positive? Right. Because I'm gonna give you some obstacles to see how positive you are. Are you trying to not be negative? Well, let's see. And then take it even as far as not saying that this happens, but if a female approaches me in some type of way, I'm like, my wife talked to you, didn't she? And then it just instantly nope, you ain't getting me. You know what I mean? Get away. Everything's a test, and it just makes it. It helps you shift your mindset even more to be prepared to make the right decision. Is this food good for me or bad for me? Is this decision good for me or bad for me? And it just helps because it takes a lot of work, man. It ain't just maybe for you, I don't know, but for me,
it's a lot of work.
it's a constant decision. You know what I mean? Like you can't put your guard down. The moment you put your guard down, all that work is over with. And I done put too much time and too much effort into trying to be who I envision myself to be. Right. And a lot of all those emotional things that we said, it ain't worth none of that. No. The anger, the lust, the greed, all that.
You wake up the next morning like, dang.
So it depends on what it is. Like in an anger moment, you know what I mean? That it's you're arguing with your significant other or whatever, and I decide I want to flip that couch over. Right. Well, what did that help?
You just got to pick it up.
Now I got to fix it. You know what I mean? Not once has ever flipping the couch has it ever fixed. And the argument didn't go, oh my God, he flipped the couch. Okay, I'm done. You win. That ain't how it works. Like you said, now I got to flip the over couch, and the situation is still the same. But then that goes with you trying to fix problems or you trying to be right.
Right. Oh, that's good right there. I like that one. Yeah.
So if you're trying to be right, well, then we don't even need to have the conversation.
Right. Let's fix the problem.
You could just be right. How about that? Because being right ain't all it's cracked up to be.
No.
I want to fix it. I want to not have to deal with it again.
Right. And that forces you to grow with your significant other or with your family, your kids. Like when you don't just all of a sudden want to just fuss at your kids all the time. Just explain to them sometime, like, this is why you shouldn't do this. And I know our generation, it wasn't no explaining back in the day, but that don't mean that was the right way. We have more knowledge nowadays than they had back then. We got everything in the world we want to know right here in our palms. So when you get more knowledge, you should apply it.
For sure. I had a previous thing, we kind of touched on that about because I said so. That was always the answer.
Right.
And there's situations where that's a good enough answer, but like you said, as this progressive world that we're living in, me personally, I feel like I need to give them some explanation on some things.
Right.
I can't just use that as a blanket statement
Right.
because I said so. Well, maybe because I said so, but then I don't want you to get run over by a car.
Right.
Whatever.
Take it that extra step
Whatever
because
the thing is,
cars are driving on the street real fast, so you shouldn't run across the street without looking.
Right.
Yeah, I see what
you know what I mean? Just to give them a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we're here for, to take my experience. And I feel like maybe, like you said, the older generation are going to see that and go, oh, Lord, we making a bunch of sissies, and talk about our feelings all the time. And that was kind of the hardness that I feel like we're still trying to navigate. Yeah. And I feel like that was kind of...
That was trauma handed down generation to generation because they didn't have the knowledge. They had to, at the very least, go to the library to look up an encyclopedia to get knowledge or watch whatever they showed on TV. That was the law because they didn't have any way to, research stuff on their own. So I don't blame them, but now that I have more knowledge, I apply some of the old stuff with some of the new stuff that I learned along the way.
Right. And I feel like, another plus of the podcast is it brings different people, but like-minded people. Yeah. And you sit down and you realize how more alike we are than we are different.
Yeah, and that's a fact.
I feel like these type of conversations don't get had enough because people take the stigmas, and just apply it as a blanket, and then I feel like the masses don't want conversations between people that don't look the same because then they realize that, oh my God, they're taking the blindfolds off. They're starting to see,
And I love meeting people that don't look like me, don't think the same way, because that's the only way we get to know each other. Like, you have to, just because we don't believe the same thing religiously or politically, don't mean we can't have a conversation because
for sure.
It's something that you may have that I may need, and it may help me understand you a little bit better. Right. And then that's how you make the world a better place, not disregarding a person's belief or what they believe. And let's go back to I know we couldn't pray in school for a long time. Right. And I'm a Christian, and I think prayer should be in school. But let's say, for instance, if I was a Muslim or atheist, and I was raised that way, I still think that they should not have their rights impeded on because this is America. It's for everyone. Right. So let's not push. I wouldn't want nobody to come tell me I couldn't pray in school. So I understand why they took it out, but that might be the reason we are in the way we are now because it was no basis of religion in anything.
Well, nobody complains when they get that paycheck.
Right.
It says it right on the money.
Yeah. Every piece of dollar in God we trust. Yeah,
so it's okay there.
Yeah, it's okay there. Boy, that was a good one there.
So next time those people that don't want to pray, just tell them, all right, man. Well, look, I'm gonna come. Just give me all your money. Yeah. Take it off your hands so you can feel safe.
Yeah, so you can
get it switched over to a different currency or whatever you got to do. So, but a lot of that stuff, man, is nowadays people just want to be difficult, and that's I don't know if that's woke. I'm still trying to figure out what that means, but it kind of seems like that means you want to be difficult. Maybe I could be wrong.
Really, woke is just mean you have knowledge. You have more information than you had before. Like, let's say, for instance, back in the 50s, everybody you smoke a cigarette everywhere, airplane, bus stop, no matter. But they got more knowledge. So now they say you can't smoke on an airplane. Right. So that's what woke is, when you gain more knowledge and realize the way we were doing it might not have been the best way. So let's try a different way. Right. Not that we're gonna make you do it, but let's think about it from a different perspective. Right. So that's what I think woke is. That's the way I view woke.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what the term is, but it just seems like people want to make things difficult, and I feel like they get some type of joy out of being difficult. I'm not saying you got to get along with everything, but certain things is like, man, why are we arguing about tampons in the boys' bathroom?
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like that's out of all the things in the world that we can be worried about.
Yeah, we don't need tampons.
Why are we worried about that?
I feel you on that. Right. Gotcha. Bingo.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on here, man. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to touch on here at the end that we didn't get to go over?
No, I think we good.
Yeah, man.
We can do it again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. I think my last buddy Chris, I think we did like 3 in a row.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, there's no, we can do whatever, man.
Okay.
I appreciate you stopping by though.